When
Right.
Breonna Taylor happened, we didn't see the department come out and defend their actions. And what was unfortunate about that was that a false narrative became the story.
Can you
And
can you give a little background on the Breonna Taylor
yeah,
story?
absolutely. So I had heard it kind of like you did, like everybody did on the news, and it was reported as cops serve a warrant at the wrong house, and
Yeah.
they shoot an unarmed black woman in her bed.
Yeah, they
And
were there for the boyfriend. The way that I heard it was the cops are at the door and a bullet comes through at them through the door, and so they fired back through the door. That's
yeah,
how I remember hearing it.
yeah, it kind of broke down into a couple of narratives. It broke down into like they were at the wrong house. They shot her in her bed. That the boyfriend fired a warning shot. So it's typical of the podcast. If something I think has value, I will dig into it. And I did. I read every report. I looked at every video, every picture. I talked to several people involved in the incident. And ultimately, I interviewed Jon Mattingly, who was the sergeant that led the operation. It is a complicated situation. There is a lot going on, but the basic facts are that the police department is serving multiple warrants looking for a guy named Jamarcus Glover, who is a drug dealer. And one of Jamarcus Glover's known associates is Breonna Taylor. It's his ex girlfriend. They've known each other for a long time. She has bailed him out of jail a couple of times. She has rented a car for him that was subsequently discovered with a body in it, which she said was stolen. He has been caught on jail audio saying that she's holding his money for him. Her address is the address he's using for his cell phone and all of those things. So that's why she is a target of the investigation. The department decides to go get Jamarcus Glover. They're broken up. She has a new boyfriend named Kenneth Walker. Kenneth Walker is living with her at her apartment. Police don't know this. They have a no-knock warrant for all of the sites. And the reason that they did a no-knock warrant was so that they would have the ability, if Jamarcus Glover was there, they would have the ability to go in no-knock. They made a decision before they get to the location, when they do the briefing, that it's going to be a knock and notice warrant. They bang on the door for somewhere between 30 seconds and a minute. The consensus seems to be around 45 seconds. Initially just banging on the door, eventually announcing themselves, police department search warrant. There is at least one neighbor who comes out from upstairs, who's a guy picking up his daughter. He comes out onto the porch and starts having an argument with the police. When he does, he eventually goes back into his apartment. So obviously the knock and notice is working on somebody. Breonna Taylor is asleep in bed. Kenneth Walker is in bed next to her. He hears it, gets out of bed. He has a legal firearm. He is lawfully authorized to carry a firearm, has that firearm. She wakes up, gets dressed. He gets out of bed. The two of them are standing in a hallway at the inn. So when the team, if you picture the apartment, the front door opens, then it goes down into a hallway, and there's two bedrooms at the end on the right-hand side. So there's a long straight hallway that comes out the front door. When the police department breaches the front door, Kenneth Walker fires one round, which has been described as the warning shot. The
Okay.
warning shot strikes Jon Mattingly, the sergeant who is leading the effort, in the thigh and hits his femoral artery. So if it is a warning shot, it is one hell of a warning. He returns fire. Another officer next to him, Miles Cosgrove, detective next to him, returns fire. Mattingly fires, I think it's 4 rounds and then 2 rounds. Cosgrove, I think, fires 16 at that point. Kenneth Walker dives back into the bedroom. So he fires 1 round and then dives back into the bedroom. Unfortunately, Breonna Taylor was on the other side of the hallway. So she is probably trying to move back into the bedroom as they return fire. They hit her either 5 or 6 times. There's been some kind of conflict in what's been released.
Okay.
And she dies there. Eventually, they pull Mattingly back, put a tourniquet on him. I would encourage everybody to look up the video of Mattingly bleeding in the driveway and the medical response that he got, because that's a good training argument for why you need TCCC. But when that happens, another officer named Brett Hankison moves away from the front door and begins dumping rounds into 3 rooms down the side of the apartment. Now, by most accounts I've heard in looking at pictures and video, those windows are covered. He believes that they are in a firefight and is trying to provide supportive fire. Um, but those rounds are not shot specifically at people. What he was seeing for muzzle flash were probably his own guys. It had to be his own guys. Kenneth Walker fired 1 round.
Okay.
And so he's in a gunfight. Well, he thinks he's in a gunfight and he's not. And the rounds that he fires go into an adjoining apartment. Thankfully, don't hit anybody. And so that's, as I started to dig into it, it's racist cops, no knock warrant, wrong house, killed in her bed. And in fact, I didn't find any of that.